from Joseph from Plainview, Texas. Hey guys, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on just how crazy these last few weeks have played out. Do you believe all along the plan was to get Biden out of the way? Seems the attempt on Trump's life was the straw that broke the camel's back. But it's also rather strange that nobody's heard from Biden, only a tweet. He's supposed to actually talk today at 5 right while we're recording right now, aren't we? Look up on Twitter, see if we can stamp it. Love to hear your political thoughts.
He did a voice thing where he said he condemned.
You actually think that was him?
Who else was it?
Yeah, there's a lot of people.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's very strange. Bro, I'm not like everything that Democrats are doing right now is all very suspect.
All right, but what are you saying? He had a clone. He had what are you saying?
AI do
people say it's AI digital. I mean,
okay, anything's possible.
Yeah.
Whether it was a clone or not, the message got out there that he condemned this, which was the right thing to do.
Okay, but here's my point. This is like, look at what we're doing right now.
Right.
You go on StreamYard, you walk in, you sit in front of the computer. Like, that's how easy it would be to assuade the conspiracy theory.
I'm not discounting that, but I think it's more important than the message, whether it was him or not. It's supposedly coming from him. You know, who knows how bad he is. Dude, the other day, the last thing that I remember seeing him before he said that he was, getting out of the race, he was coming down, and I don't know where he was coming from, but he was coming down these airplane steps.
Very slow.
Very slow and like lost. Right. And I was like, wow, this guy's kind of getting worse. And you know what? If you've seen, like, whether it's Reagan or whoever it is, when people start to lose their mind and stuff, their family disappears them from public because they don't want them to see him like that. Maybe he's already there and they've done that. I don't know.
Well, I sent you something. There was hot rumors going around that Biden was in Vegas for an event and they canceled it and they rushed him to the hospital.
Supposedly he's had a couple strokes.
Yeah.
Which is similar, like, to what the what's his name? The McConnell, where he froze. Right?
Yeah.
So these people are all old. But my thing is like I'm always on the hypocrisy bandwagon, right? I just think it's been hysterical that one of the main talking points of the Democratic, their platform has been democracy is on the ballot because the Republicans hate democracy. And I'm like, bro, just stop it. Like, this is nothing democratic about what you guys have been doing. Nobody voted for Kamala, and now she's your candidate. So stop it with the democracy on the ballot. I said that the Republicans should run on that.
But Joe,
Republicans should run on democracies on the ballot.
I know, but Disco, let me ask you a question. They're both hypocrites, bro. What the
right.
fuck?
I'm aware of that. So, this was a good talking point to make fun of.
But if he gets shot, right, she's next in line.
Yeah.
If he decides to pull out of the race, isn't she next in line?
Well, the reasons he's pulling out of the race for, everybody's asking, why is he still president then?
Yes. I was going to say, I've seen you say that.
This is a common
totally legitimate. Yeah.
What reasons?
I think I answered that on Twitter to you, because do you actually think he's running the country? No,
of course not. But that's another thing that we talked about. Like, bro, this is the funny thing, and this is basic body language tells from playing poker. Okay, poker is a good. People might say, "Oh, well, poker." Poker is a good behavioral study because people do things in poker that a lot of people do in politics. You're trying to tell a story to somebody that's not the truth, and trying to sell them on a story that's the truth. When you're bluffing a lot, you're showing strength when you're weak. You're showing weakness when you're strength. Just sell politics, right?
And the old adage, poker face.
Right, poker face. It's all kabuki theater, right?
Right.
So the so what I would say about that is that this whole thing of, like, okay, what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought here.
About him being elected.
Yeah, you're saying Kamala was never elected, and why aren't the Republicans?
Oh, no, don't get me saying it's for example. Is it what it's come to?
But why is he still president? Is what you were saying.
Exactly, but what's come to fruition is a lot of the things. And this is what poker players do. You accuse somebody at the table of doing something that you're doing. Right. Okay, and they've thrown all these accusations of Republicans with this opponent, and they're this past few weeks and turning around, it's like, dude, that's what you guys are doing. That's a typical poker thing. You always say Republicans hate democracy, but this. So people aren't focused on what you're doing. They're focused on the other guy, pointing out this guy's doing this while you're doing the same thing. That's a classic way you, it's like when you play poker, try to manipulate something, and they got caught. Like
Almost like
you said,
gaslighting.
everybody's gaslighting. Everybody's wondering, and this is the main thing. People want to get to the bottom of this. Who is running the country? Is it Kamala? And who is the other staff members that are the prominent decision makers right now? Because we've seen, and Joe Biden has dropped out. Like everybody's doing, what? Bro, this guy was not running the country. And if he was, that's embarrassing. Because the only thing I would say that he was running the country, it would make that Afghanistan pullout make a lot of sense. That if everybody was listening to Joe Biden say, hey, we got to pull out, and they say, well, sir, we got logistics here. I don't want to just pull them out. But that's what somebody with dementia would say, and they would do. And you look at the actions that occurred, that would be the evidence I would say that Joe Biden was running things. It's like, what?
I'm not seeing. I don't know. I'm not seeing anything that Joe's appeared yet or spoken as far as Twitter.
They're supposed to
Yeah.
today at 5:00.
Yeah, there's just the usual shit talking on here, but there's nothing about him speaking. There's no clips.
Just a lack of transparency.
Well, did you see the head of the
American
Secret
people are
Service?
going through it now with everything. It's just the one now.
Did you see the head of the Secret Service, that lady, get grilled yesterday? And it's so frustrating because the one lady, McLean or something, was like she kept predicting the chick wasn't gonna have the answer. She's like, okay, so then you talk to the FBI about this, and the lady from the Secret Service is like, yeah, we have our independent investigate, and she's like, no, I'm not asking that. So you talk to the FBI. So you're aware of the evidence and all this. How many shell casings were found on the roof? And she's like, well, I think you'd have to go ahead and contact the FBI. The chick's like, what are you doing here? You can't answer.
Here was the worst thing about this. This was the most fascinating thing, is they were, even the AOC was asking, like everybody. Like,
yeah, she hammered.
It's been 9 days. But tons of investigating have been done in 9 days. And they're saying, when can we hear what's it? They go, well, we expect to have a report within 60 days. Everybody's like, what? 60 days? You should have something now. It's like, what is going on? That's like that deal. Just like,
they could pull the wool over the eyes of the American public in 1963. They even had maybe Ted Koppel or somebody went on the news and said, and then the President Kennedy got hit by the bullet and it pushed him violently forward. And of course, everyone knows that's not at all what happened. Now there's a million cameras on this. You can't hide it.
I would want to know. Okay, this is what I want to know. Were the American people, when Kennedy got shot, were they like this much in the dark about everything as we are now? Like, was the government and the media back in 1965? Was it just like everybody was like, were they just kind of like just glossing over it and not really getting to the bottom of it, and things would happen and nobody would really investigate? Like, is the same thing happening now that happened back 50 years ago?
No, I think what happened was there was better journalism back then, and there were people that were not afraid to go against the government, and we saw that really explode in Vietnam. Yeah. But what was happening is it's hard to get the bottom of anything when the government is in cahoots to hide information.
Right.
And so, no, they were more, because I've seen political
I would disagree with that.
I'm a big fan of political talk shows of the 60s. Bro, you have no idea how great they were, and how back then, you'd have a William Buckley, talking to
William Buckley Jr., right?
Yeah, they'd go off on each other. You know what I'm saying? But it was civil. It isn't like now. I'm not.
There's no shows like Cross. The closest thing to Crossfire is Bill Marshall.
Right.
Because he gets Republicans on there too.
Right.
With the
I'm not going to talk to you. And guess what? Me and all my friends, we're going to ignore you. Right. Back then, they confronted each other. Even black leaders and white leaders and liberals, but the problem is you had the government, that was censoring everything, so you couldn't get adequate information. But yeah, there was more discourse back then.
Well,
and let me just say one more thing.
Good.
Let me just say one more thing. just going in another direction. I couldn't believe, because I was watching the thing with the head of the Secret Service where the lady goes, "Yeah, you're full of shit." And I was like, good way to say it, because she is full of shit. She seemed, bro, first of all, because she goes, "I'm the best person for this job." Bro, she seemed inadequate at her job. I'm surprised she wasn't fired on day one. She's lucky this guy didn't get killed. And there's some guy that came out and go, the commission, one of the senator goes, "You're lucky he didn't get killed because you just seem incompetent now. If he would have been killed, you would have been culpable." And he's absolutely right. Bro, this was a huge gaffa, if you will, with the Secret Service.
This is
They
what
look
you came across.
inept.
This is what you came across as expressionless and incompetent.
And remorseless.
Remorseless, emotionless.
Right.
Just like it's just sitting there with no. Yes, I still think I'm the best person for the job. Just like nothing. But what I want to say is,
I'm like,
this is what this is.
Who made her head of the Secret Service?
Well, I want to point this out because I wonder if this is an exact same, if this is an exact same thing that happened with the Kennedy situation, right? Bro, the news cycle and everything that came out of the Kennedy assassination attempt was that it was Lee Harvey Oswald.
Right.
But here we are, dozens of years later, and the story is it was conspiracy to kill him. The CIA killed. Like we're at that stage right now. It's like they're actually trying to like the only thing that's been forwarded right now is this lone gunman, which we know nothing about the guy. Single shooter. People say there's already been that's the thing about Twitter right now. Is so much information get out there. Bro, there's been forensics people that have done audio. There's been so much work done by the anons, like the anonymous people on Twitter. So much research that there's this guy's convinced there were two shooters. He did the analysis, the sound of the audio sound and stuff, everything. So bro, like I said, this to me just seems like a deep state social engineering, where you can manipulate the narrative and stuff, and we're not hearing any information. And the president almost got assassinated. And it's like, even the president, Trump himself, should be going on the offensive. I want to find out who was responsible. This is who did it for me. Who's trying to do this to me? And he's not even being really proactive.
Let me read something to you because I didn't know this. So the director of the United States Secret Service is actually picked by the president. Okay. So Joe Biden picked this chick.
Yeah, she didn't never fired. Isn't that unbelievable?
Yeah, she reports to the Secretary of Homeland Security, and her term length is at the pleasure of the president. She makes $137,000 a year, which seems pretty low to me.
She left a job at Pepsi doing security for them, $1.2 million a year.
Wow. But you can't beat the cachet of saying you were the head of the FBI. You know what I'm saying? Like that looks great on your resume, and you get a lot of access to shit that you don't working as security at Pepsi. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, a chance to work in Washington, D.C., a lot of people would jump at that.
Let me, because this is I'm wondering if there's one of two things, and it's happening culturally in across the world, right? Either there is a deep state of people running things, trying, just manipulating everything, or people in positions like this are as insanely incompetent as they come across. It's like seriously, bro. I work at a job since I got into we're working in security at Sapphire, right? When I started there 15, 16 years ago, there were some you're taught how to deal with situations, right? And some of the guys, like the security guards, would run up behind a guest and punch him in the back of the head, and things that you're thinking what on earth are you doing? Your job, you're not supposed to do that, and there's your fire. And I just wonder if because people, there are a percentage of people in this world that are incompetent in their jobs, and they're just bad workers. And the higher up you go in the totem pole, the more important the job, I don't think the percentage ever gets lowered. I think up the food chain, there's still a certain percentage of people in very high positions that are just grossly incompetent at their job. I'm just wondering if this chick here is like one of those people that she's just, maybe it's not a plot, maybe it's not just part of the deep state plot, maybe she was just like very bad at her job. And ultimately, I think, that's what I would fall back on. Because I've been in two different businesses. I've been in the entertainment business and in the service industry. And I'd see the levels of incompetence in both businesses. And I just wonder, like, if you can extrapolate that, like what businesses don't have incompetent people working in it? And I would say there's zero. I would think a place like Tesla would probably be a place that I would think, like, wow, that's some pretty sharp people. Because they're building rocket ships, SpaceX and stuff. This is probably where like the best people go to work. But like jobs like that just deal with like management, where you're managing people and coordinating things. Like, I just think a lot of people are terrible at that skill. What do you think? Cody, do you think you're a good manager? Like, what would you say? But like your personal, what would you say your positive qualities are and your negative qualities are as a person in your position? What you do in your job?
Positive experience.
Okay. So what do you think your negative qualities are?
Negative, that I don't trust anybody.
All right.
Which can be a
positive. What about? I would say this about you. I would say your positive qualities are you're very experienced. You're very wise to the game. Things like nobody's going to pull the wool over your eyes, right? I would say your negative qualities. I don't think you'd even disagree with this. I don't think you manage your time well. Would you agree with that?
I manage it better than I used to. That's for sure.
Okay, but like I said, bro, because I've been working. I sat with you guys 20-something years ago, and like you're never on time. I always say that, and then even this, and sometimes you're not on time here. So,
I'm not offended. I'm not offended. I've just got better at it, but that's still a problem.
Right. But I'm saying there's qualities that like everybody in the job. And look at you, you're in a very prominent role in professional wrestling. I'd say like, well, what kind of way? He doesn't manage his time well, but he does all these other things well. Like you look at a certain job, like the head of the Secret Service, which is responsible for protecting the leaders of the country. I would think that person should be way better at their job than this person was. Yeah. Obviously, right? So,
it's just a shame that for so many years we grew up with, so many people that were qualified at their job, and now from everything from politics to security to everything in between, as you mentioned, the vetting is lax, the qualifications are lax, and
they change their qualifications. They're making like, well, if you're a woman, you should be having more of a chance, or if you're black, if they're like, we're playing identity politics with work. Which is
like absurd. I can guarantee you, bro. I'd like to hear from somebody in the military right now who listens to this show to tell me what was their boot camp like, because I can't imagine. So let me tell you,
like a politically correct boot camp.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. Because I can tell you, when I was in boot camp, you were insulted, you were offended, but that was to weed out the weak.
You put people under stress.
Right. You don't want to.
Because they're going to face real stress when people are shooting at you, right?
Right. You can't have a guy that's a pussy by you in war and runs off or starts crying or some shit like that. You got to man up and do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? So they were weeding out the weak, and that's how they weeded it out back then. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I wonder how it is now. Are they insulting you in boot camp? Are they stressing you out? What is it like now when you go through boot camp in the military in general?
It's a great question, too, because I think one thing that one of the cancers in society is that we've let political correctness seep into places where it doesn't belong.
Right. Doesn't really belong anywhere.
It doesn't belong anywhere. Even in like, the snowflake parents, everything like, that are mad.
Disco, think about this. You brought up the fact that the lady didn't even know how to put on the gun into her holster, right?
Right.
Which we all saw on
video. Fumbled with it.
Right. And there were a lot of women there. Okay, there were a lot of women security officers. I'm wondering, did you put women in there for inclusivity that didn't merit to be there? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So people wouldn't say, "Oh, why is it all men?" Because the men are better qualified. If there's a woman that's qualified, bring her in. We have no problem. But you know, you can't lower the bar just to have equality.
Yeah, of course. But bro, this it's like the Elon Musk talks about it. This is part of the woke mind virus, where people think that there should be equality across the board. And like, wait a second, you're not going to put you're not going to build. Here's a perfect example. Perfect example.
What has to be across the board is competence before anything else.
But I would say this: if you have a construction site, okay, and you're erecting a 52-story building, okay, and you have a contract that there's $1 million contract, okay, and for your $1 million, you can hire 100 construction workers, and these construction workers are going to build this 52-story thing. So I would ask you this: if you hired 100 men, and this for a construction job, where picking up things, carrying a lot of labor or stuff, 100 men and 100 women, would the 100 men and the 100 women, would the construction job be done in an equal amount of time? No reasonable person would think that the women would get the job done in the same amount of time that the 100 men, the 100 women, the 100 men would. And that right there is just a very basic, simplistic argument you can make on equality. Some jobs that women are just better than women at. Period. It's not sexist or misogynist.
Women are better than men.
Right. There's more female nurses than male nurses because women like to care for people more.
Yeah, they're more compassionate.
Right. There's certain qualities of men and women about it. And it's crazy that you would have to argue this with people that don't realize this in the year 2024, which is insane. And that's a problem with society. That there are
so funny to me that in this age of information, when we have more information quicker at our fingertips at any time in history, and it'll probably get even quicker, we have so many idiots.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. So here's our resident booker, Brian Dunlop.
Let me just say the one thing before you continue, Disco. So you said our last talks, our political talks, did good numbers, right, Joe?
Yeah, it was neck and neck with the main show that week.
Use this one as a talks.
I was just going to say that.
To continue with that.
Beautiful.
Right.